Hello, welcome to the latest episode of my knitting and creative podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart and I'm coming to you from Birmingham in England. And yeah. I hope you're all doing well. I've had a really lovely morning. I'm now on the start of my mat leave, the bit before there's a baby. So I'm feeling quite calm and relaxed. We've had a bit of a heat wave in England the last few days, but it's picked off. It's kind of eased off this morning, so I'm feeling much better. Like a heat wave, being 8.5 months pregnant is, I'm sure as some of you know, not pleasant. But so I did manage to get outside today and enjoy some fresh air, and I've been making rose lemonade and a few other bits and bobs, which I'm sure I will share in some footage. My mum recently gave me a second-hand ice cream maker, and so I made some vanilla ice cream. In the veg box we get this that we get weekly, there was some apricots in it this week, and I can't eat a lot of stone fruit now. Over the last couple of years I developed some strange, it's not really an allergy, it's connected to hay fever apparently, and I can't eat a lot of stone fruits raw. Well, it's the skins I'm allergic to, and life's too short to peel apricots. So I cooked them all to make a bit of a compote, and I'm going to put that on the ice cream later, so I'm excited to try that. Don't worry, I'm not living on sugar. I just made a few sugary treats today. I also picked some mint to make some mint tea, just a bit of knitting outside. So yeah, having quite a nice creative day. At the same time, I'm working through all the preparation laundry, washing all the things for the baby. So you can't really see, but behind you, there's just masses of laundry everywhere. But I'm finally sat in front of our crate wall again. The first video ever I think I filmed sat in front of this wall, but it's been kind of chaos downstairs for a really long time. Plus I've been kind of working at this table with my big screen and keyboard and everything, which is really ugly. So now that's all been put away, I'm not working for a year. We've got our table back. I won't be working here when I go back to work. I'll probably have to rethink what's going on with that, but that's a long way off, I don't need to worry about that now. If you hear any thumping, my partner is upstairs working on the bathroom. He is quite heavy-footed because he's still working with his injury. So if you hear any banging, don't worry. It's not alarming. But yeah, I'll stop talking. Sadly my peonies aren't fully out, they're looking a bit not their best. I did contemplate holding off filming this another couple of days, waiting for the peony to bloom, but that seemed silly, so there we go. So I'm going to start with some finished objects. I've got a couple of finished baby objects. I've got one baby whip, two adult whips, one adult sewing project finished. Yeah, so there we go. So I'll start with my two finished objects I've made for the baby. The first one is this really gorgeous little hat. So this is something I talked about casting on a little while ago, and it's called and I don't think I've shared this finished. I did just check my last two podcast episodes to see if I've mentioned this, and I haven't, so I don't think I shared it finished. And it's called the Little Pumpkin Hat. And so I've knit it in some orange Yarnedelic worsted by John Arbon, which is a thicker yarn than the pattern calls for. But I think I went up a needle size and I did slightly less repeats because I was really on the edge with running out of yarn. I didn't have enough. I used like a mini skein and a bit, which is not as much as they say you need. But I think it will fit him fine. It's quite generous and stretchy. And I added the ties. It doesn't have ties in the pattern, but these are just crochet ties. And so I just kind of wove in an end, crocheted a tie, wove in an end, and then the end's kind of peeking out a little bit there. I think it went quite well. So, and the yarn just feels so soft. The Yarnedelic by John Arbon is so lovely. I mean, you might not be able to see, but it's like orange, yellow, pinky rust. Like, it's a really complicated colour. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think it will go really well with, I knit him a little brown jumper, also out of, no, that wasn't out of Yarnedelic. That was out of Viola DK, I think. I think it would go really well. And then I knit this cardigan pattern. This is the Baby Kylie, and I've knit this out of cotton yarn from Sostrene Grene and a 25, they're all 25 gram skeins or 50 gram skeins, and the grey is a yarn I bought whilst I was in Japan a few years ago. I think it's also a cotton. It might be a cotton sock yarn though. Obviously can't read the label, so I don't know. And then some little green buttons from Ray Stitch, which are apparently wooden, but I'm not sure. This pattern was kind of gifted to me by one of you guys from my Ravelry pattern wish list, so thank you so much. I really enjoyed knitting it actually. There were a few moments where I felt a bit tedious perhaps, but that was more because I was really anxious about running out of yarn or it looking weird, because the original pattern, you do this kind of pattern up to about here, I think. Like you do stop before you split the sleeves, and then the rest of the jumper would be knit in grey, not this different colour. But I didn't have enough grey yarn. I completely ran out. There is no grey yarn left. So yeah, the other thing is it's meant to be a 0 to 3 month size, and I think it looks quite big. I mean, not that I have much understanding of what a 0 to 3 month old looks like, because I've never had one before. But it looks quite big to me. I knit it to go with this also 0 to 3 month size hat. The green is the same green yarn, so this is cotton from Sostrene Grene, but this one's held double and this is held single. And I don't think the same size baby is going to be wearing this hat and this cardigan, which is a little bit of a shame because it was meant to go. And it doesn't, but that's fine. I mean, maybe his head will never be that small. I don't really know. I need to find a newborn to try these things on. I will have my own soon enough. So I think I might knit another cotton bonnet a bit bigger. Maybe the same pattern, maybe not. I don't know. Sadly, I don't have any of the orange or grey to make one that matches. But I'll just knit one in a colour that kind of goes well with those, I think. So yeah, a little pile of green and orange knits. I'm trying to use up like leftovers and small amounts of yarn for these baby knits, rather than buying yarn. It's been very tempting to buy like some cotton merino by Knitting for Olive, or I don't know, I think the one I'm knitting at the moment, which I'll show in a second, is knit from a yarn by Sanders Garn, and it was tempting to buy some more skeins of yarn from them, but I don't need to. I have scraps, I just need to be a bit inventive. But I will, rather than just going on and on about baby knits, because I know you're not all here for that, I will share my next whip. So I sadly don't have any adult finished objects, because I have been working on this one, but also this one here. Which has got a bit tangled up somehow. I don't know what I've done. Why aren't you flat? Having one of those moments where you think, did I twist my knitting? But I definitely haven't, because I would have already noticed. So there we go, that's straight. So it doesn't look like very much at the moment. But I am knitting the Golden Oak tank top. I've forgotten who it's by. And this was also a pattern gifted by one of you guys. I mentioned that I wanted to knit it whilst I was on maternity leave, before the baby comes, because of the lace at the bottom. I'll try and put a picture of it here finished. And I'm really glad that I'm doing it now, because it's actually took me kind of a while to get into the gist of the lace. It's not hard at all. I mean, I don't think lace is hard. If you've never knit lace before, it is all yarn overs, knit two together, slip, slip, knit, etc. It's just you do kind of have to pay attention and count. And I always find the first row of lace knitting the hardest. The first row of this I think is just like rib, but the first row of knitting real lace and setting it all up is always the hardest. I can't really watch TV whilst knitting on this, but I think I'm a quarter of the way through the lace now and I'm starting to pick up a bit more speed. Not a lot, but a little bit. And so I'm really enjoying knitting this when I'm kind of resting in the afternoon. Don't really feel like I should be watching TV because it's still daytime, although I do sometimes. But like maybe listening to the radio instead, or a podcast, and putting a few rows in. And I'm knitting it with Knitting for Olive, Pure Silk in the colour Copper. I've never used this yarn before. I mean, it's quite a dull colour. I would have liked a brighter, richer rust. Maybe more that kind of colour. But I am still enjoying it. I bought it when it was 25% off or 20% off. No Frills Knitting had a summer sale. No, it wasn't a summer sale, it was a bank holiday sale ages ago. And I bought it then as a treat for something nice to knit on whilst it was hot on maternity leave, which the last 2 days has been exactly that. Although I must say, the heat made me not want to really do anything at all. So I didn't get very many rows done whilst it was super hot. And then my next whip, which I haven't touched in a couple of weeks actually, is my Ovis sweater as a cardigan. I wanted to show you how I was getting on because I've done a couple of inches on the sleeves, about an inch on the body, and I've put it on a longer cable to try it on. Because if you watch my previous episodes, I am hacking it a bit. I've put a steek in, and so I did my short rows after the colourwork yoke, and I think it's going to be okay, so I'm going to keep knitting. The yarn has softened up and evened up so much more now that this has been blocked, because this bit so far has been blocked. I haven't touched it since I blocked it. And yeah, I really like the way it looks, because the yoke was a bit bumpy before I blocked it. So that's definitely evened it out, which is great. It's just been a bit too warm to knit on this, if I'm honest. So I wonder if that means it's not going to get finished before the baby's born. But then, doesn't matter, should I pick it back up again in the autumn? Maybe. Because for quite a while this is going to be quite basic stockinette until I get to doing the button band, cuffs, rib, etc. because I want to mimic what I've done up here. I just need to worry about not running out of yarn because I've got a finite amount of yarn. I think it might be coming out much bigger than it's meant to be because it seems to have a reasonable amount of positive ease on my pregnant body, which is bigger than my normal body. So I think it's going to be a little bit oversized, and I wonder if the sleeves are actually a bit too big. So I might need to think about doing some extra decreases, or I might just embrace the fact that it's going to be a bit bigger. I haven't really decided. So yeah, that's how it's going. If you want to know about all the different yarns I've used and everything, then I think you can watch the last podcast episode I did. Not the last one, because the last one was a special episode, but like the last proper podcast. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying that. I just wanted to show how it looked right now, blocked and everything. And then my last whip, actually I'm just going to check the time on the phone. check because it cuts out, which it actually did. So I've just had to delete a few things to make space. So I'm going to unpack my basket again. So my last whip is the Holger Sweater. I'll put the name on the screen because I can't remember. By Petite Knit, and it's this little jumper for my baby, who isn't here yet. And I'm knitting the 9-month-ish size, and I'm knitting it in scraps and leftovers. So actually it's this yarn that's the Japanese sock yarn, not this one. This is all Sostrene Grene cotton. And so I'm using a bit of exmoor sock in the colour Mizzle for the bottom, also exmoor sock in Drumball for the sleeve, random red yarn. I've probably got enough to knit a hat as well. A little bit of Kinross full ply in this teal colour, which I think is called Scots Pine, and then the mystery Japanese sock yarn. And so this pattern, I'll try and stick a picture on the screen. Everything's a slightly different colour on it. And forgive me now because I've recorded this bit twice. I'm not sure if I've said this bit already, so if I have, sorry, and I'll cut it out. This was another pattern gifted by one of you guys, so thank you so much. I've been really enjoying knitting all of these lovely gifted baby patterns you guys have been giving me over the last couple of weeks whilst I'm on maternity leave. So if you did want to support my channel by gifting me a pattern from my Ravelry wish list, that'll be linked below, and so will my Ko-fi shop if you'd rather support the channel that way. But absolutely no pressure for either. Yeah, so this has kind of taken the place of my sock knitting, because it's basically just round and round stockinette. You do start off knitting flat and then you join in around under the arms. I've not really knitted something in this kind of construction before, like a knit it flat and then join it up kind of construction. But I've been really enjoying it. It's been going quite quickly for a 4-ply weight pattern. Obviously it's for a small person. And so I'm hoping I will finish that one soon. I've just got 2 sleeves left to do. But yeah, it's been a really lovely knit, really enjoyable. So both sleeves are meant to be a different colour, and so I had picked out this one to knit the second sleeve, but this is a sport weight yarn, so it's a bit heavier. This is the same yarn I used for the last couple of stripes on the jumper because I ran out of the grey. So I don't really know, because the exmoor sock is slightly lighter than this, and this is slightly thicker than this, so I don't know whether that would be a bit odd. I did also think that those two together are quite nice, and maybe that would make a nice stripy something. I don't know, so maybe I'd have to pick another colour for the sleeve. But I did kind of copy the colour scheme a little bit from one that I saw on Instagram, so I will put that picture in so you can see my colour inspiration, because it is a bit of a mad pattern. But I am really enjoying using up odds and ends and using scraps and trying to resist buying yarn for the baby knits, because I have plenty of small amounts of lovely yarn, so I don't need to do that. But yeah, so that's kind of all the knitting I wanted to share with you today. The last thing I just wanted to share with you briefly is my sewing finished object, which is this Zadie jumpsuit, which I made in linen cord potting shed, I think, by Ray Stitch. But I'm going to record a whole video about making that. And so I just want to share a sneak peek today. Thread and Yarn did make a really lovely video about sewing the Zadie, so if you can't wait for mine, do watch hers. But mine was slightly different, so that's why I thought I'd go ahead and still make the video anyway. So yes, unfortunately it doesn't fit me at the moment, so you won't see any photos of me wearing it, because my bump is too big. So yeah, that's kind of all from me today. I've had to rush the end a little bit because this is going to cut out. But yeah, I don't know how many more videos I'm going to squeeze in before I vanish for a little while. I might try and make a couple and stockpile them, but if I'm honest, I just about keep up with my content the way it is. So maybe I won't, but we'll see. But hopefully this kind of shortish episode, giving you a bit of an update on what I'm working on and my few other creative projects, mostly I think kitchen based this time, have been interesting for you and you're enjoying the change in weather yourselves. So thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, goodbye.